So it occurs to me that Donald Trump is arguably the most well-known human being on the earth today. And in fact, when he was first running for president back in 2015, I mistakenly thought that's what it was all about. I couldn't believe someone who had this kind of outrageous tweeting and name-calling and stretching the truth would ever be elected president. So I thought what he was after was something more like this, that everybody on this earth, no matter how far afield they are, everyone on this earth at the end of this campaign would know the name Donald Trump. How wrong I was about that. So Donald Trump is now the most famous, or to many, the most infamous human being on the planet. So I wonder, how do you stack up in terms of that? You're not going to laugh at that, okay. Okay, let's try this. How many people do you think know that you exist? Think about that for a minute. So even if you have thousands of followers, even if you have tens of thousands of followers on social media or any other place, you don't even come close to Donald Trump. So that may be disconcerting to you, but let's put fame and fortune into perspective. So here's something to think about. The moment that both you and Donald Trump are dead, you will have exactly the same amount of money. He will, however, still be more famous than all of us put together. But let's put that fame into perspective, okay? So our solar system is somewhere around 4.5 billion years old, and humans have only been around for about 300,000 years, a blink in cosmic time. So you maybe have seen this before. The famous astronomer and astrophysicist Carl Sagan created what he called a cosmic calendar to kind of put the universe into perspective. And so what he did is he was like, so if the whole, the time of the universe was compressed into one calendar year, what would that look like? So of course the Big Bang would occur on the very first second of January 1st, and human history would begin on December 31st at 11:59 and 46 seconds p.m. So that's how long humans have been around, just a tiny speck in terms of time. So even if you are the most famous person in that speck of time, you are still only a speck. So here is a spiritual practice that can guard your mind and your spirit and your soul. Don't let Donald Trump or any other person be bigger than they are. Just a tiny speck in terms of space and time. So you can see how the vastness of space provides the same kind of perspective for us. So our sun is one of 400 billion stars in the Milky Way. And the Milky Way is one of 2 trillion galaxies. So you get the point. Our beloved Earth is just a speck, less than a speck. So when you have an awareness of the vastness of space and time, you begin to see how utterly vacuous it is to spend your life seeking fame or fortune or really being the best at anything at all. You see how absurd it is to compete with your fellow human beings. So no matter how much fame and fortune and power you accumulate, you are still in the world of form next to nothing at all. Thus the wisdom Jesus offers us in today's parable. When you are invited by someone to a wedding banquet, do not sit down at a place of honor. In other words, when you're invited to a wedding, it's not about you. It's not about you. So why are you making someone else's wedding into a competition about who's the best? It's about the bride and groom, or the bride and bride, or the groom and groom. It's about celebrating the people who are getting married. It's about you entering into their joy. It's not an occasion for you to puff yourself up and let everybody else know that you're better than them. But most of us have been taught from an early age to make almost everything in this life into a competition with others. So think about when you were in school. Who's the best student? Who's the best athlete? Who's the best artist? So isn't it strange that we even manage to make things like art and music and dance into a competition? We make them about who is best. So I was in a yoga class this summer, and the instructor reminded us, remember, yoga is not a competition. And I was sure there were people in that class thinking, sure, but I'm better than a lot of these people at these poses. So we're taught to make everything into a competition. And we do this when our children are young, but then we keep on asking the same kinds of questions when they are grown. Who has the best career? Who makes the most money? Who has married well? All these same questions about who is better than someone else. So let me just stop here for a second and be clear. It's not that being better at some things than other people is wrong. That's actually fine. We all have different gifts. It's just that it doesn't make you a better person if you're better at something. And being the best, that's super problematic, wanting to be the best. Being the best at something will never bring you the joy and happiness you think it will bring you. And here's why. Because sooner or later, someone will be better than you. There's only one best. So sooner or later, someone will come along who's better than you. They'll be brighter or stronger, or you'll be getting old and they will still be young. So if you build your happiness on being better or even being the best, you will always be disappointed when that thing falls away. And remember, who really cares who's the best on some microscopic speck of dust in the vastness of the universe? Now I get at this point that this might be a little bit depressing. I'm just a little speck. Let me say, we're all little specks, and you are some of the best specks that I have ever known. So that's okay. The point isn't that you're a speck of dust and therefore you do not matter. The point is that you don't have to make life into a competition. And when you see that you don't have to be great, you're set free to really enjoy this life. So when you don't have to be the best at something, there's no fear in just trying something new. You can try and fail. You can enjoy life. If we always feel like we have to be accomplished at everything, it ties our hands. We can't enjoy this life. So along these lines, you might ask yourself, do the most powerful men in the world seem content to you? Do Trump, Putin, Xi, or Modi seem happy at all, ever? Do the people trying to make a name for themselves in Washington, D.C. these days seem like they have any joy in their lives at all? And I think the truth is, when people seek greatness and greatness alone, they usually make everyone around them miserable. And Jesus wants to free us from all of that. So again, Jesus teaches us saying, do not seek out places of honor. And this might include things like, don't feel the need to always express your opinion. You don't have to always express your opinion. Don't constantly fall into the trap of arguing with others to make yourself right and other people wrong. Don't jump in to do something for someone just because they're struggling a little bit with it. Just because you're better than someone at something, you don't have to take it away from them. You can watch them struggle, you can give advice, but you don't have to take it away from them. How else will they learn to do it themselves if you feel like, I'm the only one who can do that? So I think there's sort of a shift in thinking in order here. When you are really good at something, and I know most of you are really good at a lot of things, don't think of that as a gift for you and you alone. Think of it as a gift for the community. So maybe you being really good at something shows other people what's possible. Like, I never knew a human could do that. That is really inspiring. I want to try to be better. It might motivate people to strive for things, to be better and better at things. And why strive to be better and better? Because it's really enjoyable to get better and better at things. But that doesn't have to build up your ego. That can be something that brings everyone around you happiness and joy. So Jesus' first parable begins with instructions on how to attend a party. Don't go in trying to prove that you're better than everyone else. His second parable gives us instructions on how to throw a party. Did you notice that? So essentially he says, when you throw a party, don't invite people who you think are especially important. Instead, invite people who are poor, people who are crippled, people who are lame, people who are blind. And then he says this, do this and you will be blessed. You will be blessed. It's funny, we often think of these kinds of passages as commandments to be more charitable for people pushed to the margins, right? We should be blessing those poor people with all the good things we have. But what Jesus is teaching us here is that when we gather those pushed to the margins around our tables, the blessing is for us. You will be blessed. The blessing is for the one throwing the party. So why is that? I suspect it has something to do with the epistle lesson that Jack read for us when it says, do not neglect to show hospitality to strangers, for by doing so, some have entertained angels without knowing it. That's food for thought, isn't it? People who are poor, people who are blind, people who are lame are not people who need our charity because we are better than them. Sharing food with them is not our gift to them, quite the opposite. They are like angels who have come to teach us about the value and meaning of human life. And as we have seen, it has nothing to do with being better than others, nothing to do with being better than these people pushed to the margins. So part of what Jesus is trying to teach us in both of these parables is to shift our attention from the physical world, which is always temporary, to the spiritual world, which is eternal. And that is to say that everything that makes one person better than another on this earth exists only in terms of the world of form, and it's always temporary. So for a moment, you might be bigger and stronger than your child, right? But that is not forever and ever. That's going to change very soon. And so Jesus is telling us that we need to put our attention on the spiritual realm, on things eternal. So to illustrate this, the Zen master Thich Nhat Hanh returned again and again in his teachings to the same metaphor. And this is what he did. He invited his students to look deeply at waves on the ocean. And he said, notice that all the waves are temporary. They rise up and they fall down. But the water is always there. The waves are temporary, but the water's always there. So in this metaphor, water is eternal. And while a wave can be greater than another wave, or faster than another wave, or we might even say more beautiful than another wave, that only lasts for a moment, and then it returns to being water. So how absurd would it be if a wave had a human mind? It might say to the other waves at the peak of its greatness, I am the greatest wave that ever was. And a moment later, that wave returns to the water and is no greater than any other wave, but it's also not less than any other wave. It's actually one with all the other waves in the eternity of water. And the truth is, about that egotistical big wave, that if that wave had eyes to see, even while it was a wave, it was always already one with all the other waves in the eternity of water. So if we want to fully rest in the peace of eternity, we have to let go of caring about being a wave and find out how we can return to the eternity of the water. And the good news is, if we cease to make life into a competition with other people, we can do this today and every day. We can walk with Jesus in the eternal kingdom today and every day. Thanks be to you, Lord Christ, for giving us this wisdom.
Amen.